4. Welcome to Law Crest, your trusted legal education channel where we reveal the truth behind America's laws and justice system. Today, we are exploring one of the most serious crimes that can destroy a police officer's career and reputation, taking a bribe. In the United States, law enforcement officers are sworn to uphold justice, protect citizens, and enforce the law without bias. But what happens when the very people trusted to fight corruption become corrupt themselves? Pause. When a police officer accepts or demands a bribe, it's considered a felony offense under federal and state laws. A bribe means offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting anything of value, money, gifts, favors, or services, with the intent to influence an official action or decision. Simply put, if a police officer accepts money to ignore a crime, cancel a ticket, or give someone special treatment, they are breaking the law in one of the most serious ways possible. Bribery of public officials is covered under Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 201, which makes it a federal crime for any public official to demand, seek, receive, or agree to receive anything of value in return for being influenced in their official duties. The penalties are severe. A police officer convicted of bribery can face up to 15 years in federal prison, a fine of up to 3 times the value of the bribe, and a lifetime ban from holding any government job. That means their career is over permanently. Additionally, under most state laws, the punishment includes automatic termination, loss of pension, and criminal charges that stay on record forever. To understand how serious this crime is, imagine an officer accepting $500 to let a drunk driver go. That driver could later harm or kill someone, making the officer indirectly responsible. The justice system sees bribery as a betrayal of public trust. When the people who are supposed to protect us abuse their power for personal gain, it destroys faith in the entire system. That's why federal agencies like the FBI and Department of Justice aggressively investigate and prosecute such cases. In many states, specialized anti-corruption units exist to monitor police behavior, track illegal financial transactions, and catch dishonest officers through sting operations. Sure, one famous case occurred in Chicago, where multiple officers were caught in an FBI sting operation for taking bribes from drug traffickers in exchange for protection. They were each sentenced to over 10 years in federal prison. In another case in New York City, a police sergeant accepted money from nightclub owners to overlook violations. He lost his badge, his pension, and went to prison for 5 years. Even smaller bribes such as free meals, gifts, or event tickets can trigger disciplinary action if they are found to influence an officer as professional conduct. Legally speaking, bribery is classified as a crime of moral turpitude, a term that refers to conduct that is dishonest, unethical, and against societal values. This classification is important because it affects everything, from a person's eligibility for government jobs to immigration and citizenship status. For non-citizen officers, being convicted of bribery can even lead to deportation under federal immigration laws. But what if someone offers a police officer a bribe and the officer refuses or reports it? In that case, the person offering the bribe is equally guilty. Under U.S. law, both sides, the giver and the receiver, can be charged. Offering a bribe to an officer can also result in up to 15 years in prison, depending on the case. The courts treat both parties as participants in corruption. That's why the safest and most lawful response from any officer is to report the bribe attempt immediately to their superiors or internal affairs. When a bribery case is reported, internal investigations usually follow strict procedures. Investigators may review bank accounts, communication records, or surveillance footage to gather proof. In many cases, law enforcement agencies use undercover operations to catch corrupt officers in the act. They may use marked bills, audio recordings, and hidden cameras to ensure that evidence is undeniable in court. Once proven guilty, the officer faces both criminal and administrative punishment, meaning they can be fired, charged, fined, and imprisoned. Beyond the legal punishment, the social consequences of bribery are also devastating. A convicted officer loses public respect, friends, and often faces lifelong stigma. Even after serving time, finding a new job becomes nearly impossible. The media exposure surrounding such cases can destroy personal and family reputations permanently. It's not just a mistake, it's a career-ending and life-changing crime. From an ethical perspective, the United States holds police officers to the highest standards of integrity. Every officer takes an oath of office, promising to serve the community honestly and without favoritism. Bribery breaks that oath completely. That's why departments provide ethics training, financial disclosure forms, and periodic integrity tests to prevent such behavior. However, if an officer still chooses corruption, the law makes no exceptions. Justice applies equally to everyone, even those who wear the badge. Let's also look at the difference between bribery and gratuity, because this often confuses people. A gratuity is when someone gives a small gift or token of appreciation after an official act has already been performed, without expecting anything in return. While still discouraged, gratuities are not always illegal. Bribery, on the other hand, involves intent, giving something with the expectation of a specific action or favor in the future. For example, buying lunch for an officer as a thank you might not be a crime, but giving them cash to ignore a violation is. Now, what about officers who witness bribery or know their colleagues are involved in corruption? The law requires them to report it immediately, and failing to do so can lead to charges of complicity or obstruction of justice. The blue wall of silence, a term used when officers protect each other by staying quiet, is slowly breaking down as more departments push for transparency. Many states now offer whistleblower protections, ensuring that officers who report corruption are legally shielded from retaliation. Let's consider another real case. In Los Angeles, an officer was convicted after accepting $1,200 from a suspect to make a DUI charge disappear. The court sentenced him to 7 years in prison and ordered him to pay restitution. The judge in that case stated, "When law enforcement becomes lawless, the entire justice system bleeds." This statement captures the essence of why bribery is treated as one of the most disgraceful crimes for any public official. In short, a police officer who takes a bribe in the United States can face multiple punishments: federal prison, loss of career, loss of pension, fines, civil lawsuits, and total public humiliation. The law doesn't tolerate corruption, especially among those entrusted with authority. The message is simple: honesty is not optional, it's the foundation of justice. To conclude, corruption within law enforcement is not just about breaking the law, it's about betraying the people. Every time an officer takes a bribe, it sends the message that justice can be bought. And that idea destroys everything America stands for. The US justice system is built on fairness, accountability, and equality before the law. Whether it's a $10 bribe or a $10,000 one, the result is the same: prison, shame, and the end of a career. The takeaway for everyone, officers and citizens alike, is this: the truth will always surface, and corruption always ends in punishment. This is Law Crest, reminding you that justice has no price tag, and in America, no one is above the law.